confuse us for each other, this guest and I. It's happened to me more than once. And I like when we're in the same place at the same time, because then people are like, oh, you're different. Okay. You both like small government and hate taxes. Yep. I can see, dark hair. I get it. But it's Kris Sims. She's the Alberta director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. This is the second time today I'm talking to her. But it's still not enough. Kris, how's it going? She's the guest on the gun show this week, which I pre-recorded earlier in the day. Kris, thanks so much for coming on the show. Predictions for the by-election. Is Poilievre going to come in with a greater share of the vote than Keurig did just a couple of months ago?
See, I don't know, because by-elections routinely have lower turnout. And also, I've known Pierre Poilievre for like 25 years, and I still have to stop my pen and think while I'm writing his last name. So, sorry. It's one of those funny things of like, I like Evie, or like, it's a funny thing. So between those two things, I think it may be a little bit lower. I'm guessing it's going to be just a touch over 80. I'm not predicting a 7 in there. So I'm guessing I'm going to go with probably an 81 is where I think he's probably going to land with that.
So 84. Yep. 84% right now. So that's fair enough.
Have they counted like the booming metropolises within this riding yet? Do we know?
What you talking about? Camrose?
Yes. Stettler. My cousin lives in Stettler. She worked at the Home Hardware there for years. That place has got a bumping downtown.
So what? Poilievre gets elected, of course he's going to get elected. What's the first thing he needs to talk about in the House of Commons? Because I'm sure at the Taxpayers Federation, I'm sure you've got a long list, but what's right at the top of yours?
Laundry list for him. I think the first thing he's going to do is going to be what's called the EV mandate, what we are better calling the ban on the sale of normal gasoline and diesel powered vehicles, because Prime Minister Mark Carney has bought into this lunatic idea that they can tell people what kind of vehicle they should drive in Canada. And the big part for the Taxpayers Federation, while we're fighting it, is because it's going to break the bank. It's going to cost an arm and a leg. Even Natural Resources Canada itself, like the federal government itself, says this is going to cost us $300 billion-ish. No big deal. The problem there is that we have unmoney. So we are so deeply in debt right now that we are just burning through hospitals worth of interest payments on this thing. So I did hear Poilievre say that he wants to make this, I think he called it a campaign, which is interesting. That's more of what an advocacy group would call something. So it sounds like that's going to be the first thing, is killing the so-called EV mandate and freeing people up from that.
Well, that's a marketing campaign is what it is, because it would have a wide appeal. When you're talking about taking away Canadians' freedom to travel where they want and when they want, whether it be for work or whether it be for pleasure. And a great many Canadians have to drive very, very long distances to work, especially our blue class brothers and sisters and our people in rural areas. And this is going to be a widely accepted marketing campaign by the Conservatives. It's sort of a big tent issue. Everybody can relate to this, not wanting to have their freedoms limited by this insane net zero sustainability green EV baloney initiative by the federal government, right? So I think that it's a good starter for him to bring that up first. But then he must hit like a hammer, like Danielle Smith, like Donald Trump, one thing after another, until the people of Canada wake up and go, right, Mark Carney is not going to solve any of our problems. As a matter of fact, he's going to make them worse. And we really need to get a Conservative government in there.
So I think what's happened is that the former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was such a flaming disaster, like fiscally illiterate, like worst Prime Minister we've ever had. Bar none.
Numerically dyslexic.
Yeah, like he literally said, like, forgive me if I don't think about monetary policy, and then he has trouble. Like, no, I can't forgive you because you're the Prime Minister and you have doubled the national debt. Like, doubled it without even breaking a sweat. And before folks start saying, oh, well, he tried because it was COVID. No, folks. In 2019, okay, before anything happened, Before the wave hit Canada, there were no aliens invading, okay? Sasquatch was not running amok, okay? The federal government spent more money in the fiscal year 2019 than in any one year of the Second World War, adjusted for population plus inflation. That was Trudeau's fiscal policy, okay? It was a disaster. Now, that's not even touching on all the social stuff that you ladies cover so well. Just from a fiscal standpoint, it was a disaster. Quickly, carbon tax, okay? The so-called consumer-facing carbon tax, which is actually technically now gone. We're very happy to see that, okay? Credit to the tax fighters out there. You even made Mark Carney, who wrote this book while he was the UN special envoy, okay, on this topic. You made this dude cry uncle and blank on the carbon tax. The Trudeau government collected more than $40 billion from Canadians in the carbon tax, not including the huge provinces of Quebec and BC. So we're really just talking the screwed over prairie provinces plus Ontario, 40 billion plus. Fun fact, you would be able to buy over 700 big water bomber planes for that amount of money. I don't see them. I'm not sure if I missed them on the tarmac. So the point here is that it has just been a disaster. So what I think has happened here is because, Pierre Poilievre does not have his seat right now. We'll wait to see what happens tonight. And we're in the middle of the summer. House isn't sitting. People are in kind of a honeymoon phase, not really paying attention. It's like having an elastic band that's been cutting off the circulation to your hand, suddenly cut off with Trudeau gone. And it's like, oh, wow, he's not brutally embarrassing anymore. That's an improvement. My circulation's coming back into my hand. I think that's the phenomenon we're seeing right now. So what we would like to see Pierre Poilievre do if he wins his seat and he takes his official position as a matter of the majesty of leaders opposition is get rid of the so-called EV mandate we call the gas and diesel vehicle ban, stop the industrial carbon tax, and stop the censorship industrial complex that is growing across Canada. Get those three things done.
Perfect. Yes. Can you email him directly right now? We'll give you a minute.
We frequently yell at him. To be fair, he is saying all of those things. He's promising to do all those things. Oh, and he's promising to shut down the gun grab, which I was listening to your earlier guest. That's all I'm hearing too. A lot of rumbling saying they're going to be hauling out some of these issues, including the gun confiscation. I don't call it the gun buyback because I did not purchase my firearm from the government. Right. It's the gun confiscation. They're going to be rolling that out as well. So as long as Pierre Poilievre keeps on fighting on those things, I think that things are going to shore up pretty quickly in the fall.
So how would we then, if Pierre Poilievre made all of those changes, how would we make sure that the laws would be applied and not challenged as a Section 7 charter violation, as the activist classes are wont to do? So we've seen our public judiciary in Canada be overtaken by some pretty ideological justices, we'll say. As a matter of fact, a MacDonald Laurier Institute report said that, over 90% of rulings by judges when there's a Section 7 charter violation leveled at a provincial government, 90% of judges will land on the side of the interveners. P.S. They also divulge that over 25 million Canadian taxpayer dollars have been spent getting sent to left-wing interveners in charter challenges. How do you think Pierre Poilievre could get his legislation through without having the courts overturn it as a charter violation? How would you do that?
They'll try, and they will. And we've got a former colleague, Christine Van Gyn, brilliant constitutional lawyer. She's now over at the Canadian Constitution Foundation. I know she's a frequent guest. It was her team, along with one other group, that successfully got the federal court justice to rule that it was wrong for the Trudeau government to invoke the Emergencies Act. And then it was wrong for the federal government under Trudeau to freeze people's bank accounts. And so we were totally opposed to the Emergencies Act, especially with the whole freezing of the bank account thing, because if you stifle somebody's ability to peacefully assemble and to peacefully express themselves, you can't have true grassroots advocacy in this country. You can't do things like handing out golden pig statues and mocking politicians all the time and holding big rallies. And so you can't silence those voices. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we've seen instances across Canada, at least provincially, where they use the notwithstanding clause.
Right.
Because
Amen.
those are the folks, frankly, those are the folks who are elected. You are elected to legislate and write laws. We don't elect judges in this country yet. So go ahead and use the functions that are there. I'm not the constitutional expert, but I know Christine Van Gyn's got a lot of thoughts on that one.
Interesting. Well, there are options for him. In any case, there are options.
Now,
I wanted to quickly point out, if I don't mind,
Yeah.
while we're waiting for numbers to come in, I'm super tempted to go check myself, but I'm
I'll
promising.
read 'em out.
I'm hoping you guys all read them out. Interrupt me when you're ready. I wanted to point out quickly on the Doug Ford thing. The amount of money that he is piling onto the debt is just absolutely disgusting in Ontario. Okay. Doug Ford, the premier, likes to talk a big game about being out there for the little guy and wanting to be small government and grassrootsy. Okay, that's nonsense. Number one, he gave everybody a huge fat raise, including himself. Okay, that just happened, taxpayers' expense. Didn't notice him campaigning on that on the hustings. Two, the debt is so bad there right now, provincially. The provincial Ontario debt is so bad right now that it is costing Ontario taxpayers $300 million a week just in the interest payments. I know, Lisa, I heard you gasp.
Oh,
So
that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money.
it's a disgusting amount of money. So picture this, okay? So an average Ontario home, sorry, Ezra, you should move home, but the average Ontario home right now costs around $1 million-ish, okay? All the way up to the super swanky stuff in downtown Toronto and the stuff more on the outskirts, say outside of London, Ontario. If you mix it all in a bucket, for argument's sake, say that it's about $1 million. Okay, the debt interest costs just for the Ontario provincial debt, picture 300 homes, burn them down every week. That's the cost of the debt. That's under a so-called conservative government. So they got to pull their socks up. Oh, quickly, because this annoys me to heck. Sheila and I were talking about this earlier today. Doug Ford's government charges a PST on used cars. So you're one of those working stiffs. You're out there. You're scraping together a few $1,000 for a used Toyota Corolla. Get to work, right? To commute.
You're a kid trying to
That's
get to work. Yeah.
Trying to afford your first car. Maybe it's from the late 90s, early 2000s. The sucker's more than 20 years old. Doug Ford's right there with his hand out, and he's taking his chunk in PST for the little guy.
Over and over every time a car is bought or sold in Ontario, right? So they're making that over and over and over and over.
That's right. Not to rub it in or anything, but where Sheila and I are sitting, Ezra, you should come home. Where Sheila and I are sitting, there is no PST. Yeah. So, Danielle Smith is not charging us a PST on used car. If we did have one, we'd be fighting it right now.
Sure. When Lisa and I hit the local Goodwill, our buck goes a little further. I know Ezra's trying to skedaddle. He's had a long day.
Oh, fine. He doesn't want to take my abuse.
No, it's fine. It's
no,
not
you're
abuse,
making me
it's
think of
prompting.
You make me think of something that Keith Wilson said, which is, it's fun to watch the results. Poilievre at 83.5%, which is around where Damien Keurig was earlier this year. The great CBC Hope still in single digits, but really doesn't matter because Mark Carney is pretty close to a majority, but he can act like he has one because the rump NDP and Bloc will support him every step of the way. And every problem we have will get worse over time, exacerbated by the fact that Mark Carney is not a Trump whisperer. Immigration is not slowing down, despite his promise to do so. We're heading into a recession. A fella could be black-pilled, as the kids say. I want to keep hope alive. I want to stay positive. But, Pierre Poilievre losing in Ontario and having to win again in Alberta is a disappointing, microcosm of the fact that not all parts of Canada love freedom. Not all parts of Canada are sick of the Liberals. Some people, like I drive around some places and I see people still with that elbows up slogan. They love that. They actually think it's working. Or they don't care if it's working. They just love being anti-American. I don't know, it's enough to make a fella despair. But listen, it's great to be part of the live stream. Thank you. I mean, Sheila and Lise, I know I just sort of crashed the party. I know you guys were scheduling. Chris, it's great to
It's
see you
because
again.
we're fun. I get it why you want to hang out with us. We're fun.
Well, it
And
was
you
a lot
need
of
a
fun,
white
and I
pill,
was a little bit
Ezra.
silly myself.
No,
Listen,
you need a hug.
you know what? I'm a little depressed. But by the way, thanks. It's great to have the live super chats back again. As you know, we were demonetized by YouTube for such a long time that it's great to have that support. So a special thank you to our viewers. And I'm out east, so I'm going to call it quits. It's almost midnight here, but I look forward to hearing how the rest of the show goes. And thank you, ladies, for carrying the torch high for Rebel News.
Definitely. Okay,
Night,
boss.
night,
Good
Ezra.
night.
Okay,
Yeah.
cheers.
I forget. He's 2 hours ahead of us there. So it's like, ooh, it's almost midnight for him. It's a long day there. But you guys, girls, I want to do some investigation because I remember something that was sort of earlier in the campaign. There was an internet rumor, and it's astounding that somebody on the prairies had the same name. So it went this way. Guerin Funeral Services had Elsie Joanna Kipp, who passed away at 88. She looks like a lovely lady. She looks like somebody's Ukrainian baba. She is from, I put it in the chat. And this is, bear with me, this is pertaining to Battle River Crowfoot. So this is the obituary of Elsie Kipp. Elsie
Bless
Joanna
her heart.
Kipp.
Look at her. Yeah.
Look,
Okay.
she looks like
Just
an absolute delight. You know, she was
cute.
down at the beauty parlor on Fridays gossiping. That's what she looks like.
Oh,
And
I want to
would've
go
lis-
with her.
I
Yeah.
would have listened. Whoever was doing the roller set on her was doing it right. Anyways, and you can send flowers or plant a tree in memory of Elsie Joanna Kipp. She passed away February 27th, 2025. This is probably fresh in the hearts of many people.
Oh.
But
She looks like my grandma, like so much like my grandma, right down to the. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to get misty.
no, but yes, okay. I look and she very clearly, I know by her top, she is a very severe Ukrainian lady. And apparently that is the truth. She married into the Kipp family, but she has a very Ukrainian last name otherwise. So this is crazy because there is an Elsie Kipp on the ballot in Battle River Crowfoot. And everyone was like, great, there's a dead lady on the ballot. So it was going around so much. And this is a symptom of the longest ballot committee nonsense, right? Where they're just slapping names down, sign the nomination. Oh, you got your signatures. Oh, you're here, you're on the ballot. So of course it's one lateral step to, oh, you put a dead lady on the ballot.
Right.
That's what you're doing now. And it got so bad that the lady, Elsie Kipp, a BC woman had to, here's the thing though, because she is sort of caught up in the like, I'm not from there, but I'm running in the election tee nonsense.
Oh no.
She's from BC and she's running as a candidate in Alberta's Battle River Crowfoot by-election as part of the longest ballot committee. So she's alive, but she is still nonetheless not a resident of Battle River Crowfoot. And for all intents and purposes, I would rather vote for the dead lady because at least she's not trying to game the system and wreck it for everybody. And now I was trying to look, I'm like, Elsie Kipp, let me see who voted for her. And there's too many people for me to check because she's one of the longest ballot committee.
Isn't
Can't
it
quite find her
alphabetical? Use your power of alphabeticalization. No? Let's look under the K's. Oh, never mind. It's not alphabetical. Oh, it is.
Oh.
Wait.
Oh, it is.
Kip. Nobody. She's got
not
0
there.
votes from what I can see on the screen.
Oh, good. I wouldn't want someone to have mistakenly voted for that nice Ukrainian grandma.
You're
But how
making me-
but
That's
like
how
how
ridiculous this election is.
how embarrassing that you would have to come out to the media and be like, no, really, I'm alive.
I'm alive, but I'm still trying to screw over and make a mockery of this election.
This
Don't
is
worry.
quite embarrating for me to fess up to.
I
but
would have
it's-
let people believe I was dead.
rather than
This
chiming
is-
in from BC. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not a good look. That's not a good look. Interesting that they went to a write-in ballot, though. I'd be curious to know. I want to know how many ballots are accidentally spoiled, even though they're handing out all the rat cards. I saw somebody that was using the rat card where they're saying, come vote today, and they've got his name written out like in Sharpie. I saw a video today, too, with him spelling his own name. So I'm curious to know how many people tried but failed.
They have a Pierre Poilievre campaign, like a hooked on phonics campaign.
Can we bring up that picture and show Kris? The campaign signs have thus changed in Battle River Crowfoot, where it is a picture of the write-in ballot with like, this is how you fill it in for Pierre Poilievre. Like it's a how-to pictogram. That's how badly this election was mismanaged by Elections Canada.
Oh,
look at this.
My goodness.
Yeah, look at this, Kris. Look at this. So they have they have a campaign, a how to spell the name campaign. This is what they did. A marketing campaign. It's actually kind of brilliant.
It is smart. That's smart.
It's really
clever.
brilliant.
I'll give it to them.
Because the Conservatives or whoever produced these signs knew that this was going to be a stumbling block and something that, you know, the bad actors would use against the Conservatives. So they had to come up with this. I think it's brilliant and it's adorable and it's totally non-offensive. And maybe a couple more Canadians learned how to spell his name. You know,
Poilievre is how you say it in your head.
A Poilievre.
My fingers can't type it at all.
Poilievre. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, hooked on phonics works for me. And it'll be real important, right, for the people of Battle River Crowfoot to know how to spell the next prime minister's name, probably. So this is all very good. It's just a public service. You're welcome.
Further confusing people, when I first met him when we were staffers back a kabillion years ago, I think we were riding pterodactyls to work in Ottawa. He pronounced it Poilievre. Which is why it's funny. Yeah, because if you listen carefully to Andrew Scheer talk sometimes, he still catches himself and he calls him Poilievre. Because everybody around that same age group who were staffers at the same time, and some of them went on to become MPs and the rest of us went back into media. Maybe he was just too nice to correct us and we were just mispronouncing his name when he had frosted hair.
No,
that sounds entirely...
He Ottawa'd it is what he did.
I think just being like young and a little bit insecure, you know what I mean? Like when you're young, you agree to things that as an older person, you never ever
That's
would.
right.
But
And we were just probably bullying and he just went along with it. And, you know, it's just how it went. And to be fair, like, you know, his parents are Prairie French. Like they would have had the proper pronunciation of the name, I imagine, at home. But when he went to Ottawa, all of us, you know, Anglo kids were calling him Poilievre. So anyway, it's Poilievre. I'm glad people are learning how to spell his name.
I just don't want to find out that he was like that girl that everybody went to high school with and her name was Sharon. And then she like, you see her pronouncing it like Shireen later. And it's like, no, you're Sharon.
It wasn't
Jones,
like that. No.
Okay.
Shannon turning into Shanann.
Shanann, exactly.
It wasn't on us. It's on us. It wasn't on him.
Oh,
it was
good.
just a big mispronunciation.
Do you know?
Yeah, Sheila, I actually just answered to your name the other day. I was up when we were going for a book tour with Franco. So this is why it's funny. Sorry, I have to digress because I want to kill time while we're waiting for numbers.
Tell us.
So we're literally going to a Taxpayers Federation event. Okay, I'm with Franco Terrazzano with his book that he wrote himself. Like with his pen. We go to the event in Red Deer, and this lady who's a supporter of ours, bless her heart, we would have invited her using the email, Sheila, I'm so happy to see you. I'm like, hi. I just went with it. I'm sorry to impersonate you.
You could do worse, okay?
You know, she was having such a fun time. I didn't want to correct her. I just went with it. And Franco's looking at me, like giving me this hairy eyeball of like, why are you doing this?
To me all the time. You're that girl from the Taxpayers Federation.
You're like close.
I wish. Okay. Yeah. Close enough.
It's close. Speaking of close, when are we expecting them to go? Are we going to officially call it? Has the state broadcaster called it yet? I want to beat them.
Ezra called it before the results started coming in.
I'm so happy. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So the decision desk called it at about 8:20 local time.
Nice.
So we're just sort of waiting until Poilievre claims victory.
Says
something says his name.
Yeah, says a thing. Yeah.
But at the end of all of this, how please God put us out of our misery. Okay, so he's dropped a
I've got
fair
my
bit.
81. I'm at my 81.
Yeah.
Chris.
Ezra, Bonnie
You might
might
be
get to double digits. And then what, Ezra? That's why he left. He didn't want to see Bonnie, whom he compared to Andrew Coyne and Chantal Hebert earlier on the stream. He didn't want to see her get to 10 double digits. He bailed before. I just want to see
he
Grant
kind of had
Abraham
some
do
fighting
better.
words, and then he left.
Yeah. He got depressed. He got down. His blood sugar got low. He's
Oh,
gonna
I
go
saw
home.
that. Yeah, he
Yeah.
needs some white pills. Honestly, like he was talking about Ontario, all joking aside, he was talking about Ontario. And when he said all the same problems are going to be there when Pierre Poilievre gets there, and I would say the same thing if it was some other person who was saying he was going to get
Right.
rid of the industrial carbon tax, get rid of censorship, all these good things. Yeah, all those problems are still going to be there, which is why I think the average working person is going to be like, hey, man, this shine is wearing off this Liberal government pretty darn fast, right? And in Ontario, where Ezra is, they actually got, like, the Conservative Party got a huge bump in their support percentage wise, like more than I'd really ever recall seeing it.
In
And so
spite of Doug Ford's sabotage,
that's
by the
right.
way.
That's
Yeah.
right. And despite him not, being willing to even help out on the campaign trail, which is a huge thing, and despite the ridiculous internal staffer wars and all that silliness, you shouldn't be holding, tens of millions of people hostage because you're having a little internal fight, right? It's just not fair to normal everyday working people. But to help boost Ezra's mood, I think that because all those same issues will be there, okay, because things like the industrial carbon tax, the censorship, the media payments, the fact people can't afford homes, the fact they're trying to, take away your right to choose what kind of car to buy, all that stuff, that's all still going to be there. And people are still going to get tired of it. And I think they are still going to demand change. And that can either result in two things. One, the minority Liberal government will feel enough pressure to cave on those topics and give us the win, right? Just like with the carbon tax, it is gone. Okay. That's why gas is 20 cents cheaper per liter on average. It's gone. Okay. So they'll either cave or we'll go to another election. So I'll send Ezra some white pills later.
Please do. Please do. And I love that you had to put on your glasses to just
see.
button up the point.
Well, also I needed to see who was coming on next because I saw the window just expand.
It's Sid Fizzard. He did some really great journalism when he was in he just ran into Poilievre on the weekend when he was in the riding. So Kris, do you want to stick around with us for a bit?
I'll hang out.
Okay, we'll keep you through Sid. And then we'll let you go because it's getting late. It's 10 o'clock and I appreciate you. And I already, although it feels like yesterday, but like 11, 12, 13 hours ago, I talked to you. Your hair is holding up better than mine. I got to tell you that.